My rich best friend demanded I sell my family business to her boyfriend, laughing, we could turn it into something classy instead of whatever this dump is. When I refused, she staged a public scene, screaming, "You'll regret this when I have my way." But the next day, the news broke, and as she read the headline about who just bought out her father's company, her champagne glass slipped from her hand. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to post here, but honestly, I have no one left I can vent to without getting that you did the right thing, or "I told you so" lecture. And I need to tell someone who can appreciate what really happened. So here it is, straight, no fluff. I, 44 female, run a small family business in Asheville, North Carolina. It's a general store and cafe that's been around for 3 generations. We sell homemade pies, breakfast sandwiches, local produce, and random little things like jellies, handmade soaps, and postcards. There's a small coffee counter too, where people sit and talk for hours. It's not fancy, but it has history. Locals love it. Tourists stumble upon it, and then come back every time they're in town. My best friend used to be Sierra, 45. We met in high school. She came from money, but she wasn't snobby about it back then. Her dad owned a chain of boutique hotels in Charleston and Atlanta. Big money. But she never acted like it. We were close. She used to sleep over at my house all the time, even though her place had more bathrooms than people. When we got older, she moved to Atlanta and started doing interior design. I stayed in Asheville to run the family store after my dad passed. Sierra would visit a few times a year, usually around the holidays. She loved pretending to be small-town Sierra, again, helping out behind the counter, greeting customers, laughing with me like nothing had changed. But things had changed. She had started dating this guy, Jordan, 40s. He was slick. Real estate developer type. Hair always gelled, expensive watches, the kind of guy who says, "Let's circle back," even in casual conversations. He never once looked me in the eye when he talked. My first impression? He was a fast-talking shark wrapped in designer shoes. The last time Sierra came to visit, she brought Jordan with her. It was a crisp Sunday morning, late October. The store smelled like cinnamon and apples, and we had a good crowd in. After the breakfast rush, I sat down at a back table with them, thinking we were just catching up. Sierra smiled in that weird way where you can tell something's coming. She said, "Babe, Jordan had the most incredible idea for your business." I raised my eyebrows but didn't say anything. Jordan leaned forward like he was about to drop the cure for cancer. "We've been looking for a place like this. Authentic. Vintage charm. Great foot traffic. We could take this spot, renovate it, make it upscale. Turn it into something really special." Sierra jumped in, like, "Classy, you know? It's cute now, but kind of a quirky mess. We could really make it shine." I just stared at them. Jordan kept going. "We'd got the inside. Put in reclaimed wood, brass fixtures, maybe even a wine bar. The cafe could become a small plates restaurant. All locally sourced, of course. We'll make sure you get a good payout. You wouldn't even have to work here anymore." I laughed. Out loud. Not a polite laugh. A real, "Are you kidding me" laugh. "Absolutely not," I said. "This place is staying exactly how it is." Sierra's face changed instantly. She looked like I had just insulted her to her core. Her whole body got stiff. She said, "Why? You barely break even some months. You're exhausted all the time. Don't you want more?" "This is more," I said. "More than gutting it and turning it into another place people scroll past on Yelp." She rolled her eyes and snapped, "You'll regret this. When I have my way, you'll wish you sold." I told them to get out. She stormed out first. Jordan gave me a smug little shrug and followed her. They didn't even take their half-finished lattes. The next day, everything exploded. I was in the back, sorting invoices, when my phone started lighting up. Texts, emails, Instagram tags. People asking if I had seen the news. I checked. The top headline on a local Atlanta business blog read, "Whitmore Hospitality Board votes out founder, new CEO appointed." Right under it was a photo of Jordan, grinning like a jackass. Jordan had taken over Sierra's dad's company. Not just a promotion. A hostile takeover. Apparently, he'd been buttering up the board of directors behind the scenes, using Sierra to get access, planting little doubts about the old man's outdated vision, and building his case as the younger, innovative face the brand needed. Turns out, Sierra had no idea. She was blindsided. From what I heard later through mutual friends, Sierra was at some bougie champagne brunch when one of her friends read the headline out loud. She didn't believe it until she saw the photo. That's when she dropped her glass. It shattered on the tile. Real dramatic. Real public. Suddenly, her whole world flipped. Her dad was ousted, Jordan was in, and she was nowhere in the picture. I don't know what hurt her more, losing the business or realizing the guy she'd been planning to marry used her like a stepping stone. People started whispering. About how Sierra used to mock people like me running quaint little stores, and how Jordan probably only got close to her because of her name. Her dad didn't just lose his position, he lost face. No one saw it coming, especially Sierra. And now she had burned bridges with her oldest friend, me, by trying to strong-arm me into selling my family's legacy for the sake of her boyfriend's real estate portfolio. I didn't gloat. I didn't even post about it on Facebook. But I'll be honest. When I saw the headline, I smiled. And then I got back to work. About a week passed after the news dropped. I thought that would be the last I'd hear from Sierra for a long time. Maybe forever. I was fine with that. I had customers to serve, shelves to stock, orders to make. Life was quieter, but steadier. Then she showed up. It was early evening, store lights dimmed, and I was closing out the register when I saw her silhouette in the doorway. Same designer coat, but something about her looked off. Her hair was messy. No makeup. She had sunglasses on even though the sun had already set. She stepped in and pulled off the shades. Her eyes were swollen, like she'd been crying for days. "I shouldn't have come," she said, voice barely a whisper. But I didn't know where else to go. I didn't say anything. Just stood there, waiting. She walked up to the counter slowly and placed her hands flat on the wood like it was the only thing holding her up. "He used me," she said. "He lied to everyone. My dad, the board, me. He's freezing me out of everything. He said I was emotional and that I needed time away from the company." I just nodded. "I didn't know what he was doing," she said again. "I swear. I thought he loved me." I still didn't speak. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't trust what might come out of my mouth. She looked around the store. "This place hasn't changed." "It wasn't supposed to," I finally said. She winced. We stood there in silence for a while. Then she said the thing that shifted everything. "I need your help." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She pulled out a thick folder from her bag. Contracts, board memos, emails, all printed out. She laid them on the counter. "I've been collecting this. All of it. I think there's something shady going on. Numbers that don't match. Funds being moved. He's doing something illegal, I'm sure of it. But no one will listen to me. Not anymore." Now I was listening. She flipped through pages, pointing out emails she wasn't supposed to have. Financial records that didn't add up. Property deals under shell companies. A few of the signatures didn't even look real. "I know I don't deserve your help. Not after what I said. What I did. But if I can prove what he's doing, I can save what's left of my dad's company." I stared at her. She was shaking. Not just from nerves, but fear. Real fear. "He's dangerous," she whispered. Not physically, but the kind of dangerous that can ruin lives and still walk away smiling. Something twisted in my gut. I didn't want to help her. She had tried to tear down everything I loved. But I couldn't ignore what I was seeing. Or what I was hearing. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no either. Over the next few days, I went through every paper she gave me. I even pulled in a guy I knew from the neighborhood, Tommy. He used to be a forensic accountant before he got fed up with Wall Street and moved here to start a record store. Real smart. Quiet guy. Doesn't talk much but notices everything. He took one look at the papers and said, "Someone's cooking books." We kept digging. Every night, after the store closed, Sierra and I sat in the back room going over files. She looked tired. Older. Like the weight of what she'd done and what she was trying to fix was catching up to her all at once. Then, just when we started making sense of things, it got worse. My store got broken into. They didn't take anything valuable. Not the cash in the drawer. Not the electronics. But they went through the back room. Papers everywhere. Filing cabinets busted open. The folder Sierra brought me? Gone. My stomach dropped. I called the police, filed a report, but nothing came of it. No fingerprints. No camera footage. They said it looked targeted. I knew it was him. Jordan. He knew Sierra was onto something. And now he knew she wasn't alone. I told her to leave town. She refused. "I'm not running," she said. Not again. The next day, Tommy showed up with copies he had secretly made of the documents. Smart guy. We started again. This time, more careful. Then something else happened. Sierra's dad called me. He asked to meet. Just me. Not Sierra. We met at a little diner off the highway. The kind where the waitresses still call you Han, and the coffee never stops coming. He looked smaller than I remembered. Older, but sharper. His eyes were tired, but focused. "She told me what you're doing," he said. I thought she was lying. I didn't respond. "She told me what she did to you. Trying to sell your store. That wasn't her. That was him." I nodded. "She wants to make it right," he said. "But she's in over her head." Then he leaned in close and said the thing I never expected. "Let me help." Now I had Sierra, me, Tommy, and her dad. All of us looking at the same man. A man who thought he was untouchable. And we were going to pull him down. Not out of revenge. But because some things like family, loyalty, and decency are worth protecting. Even if it means starting a war. Things moved fast after that diner meeting. Sierra's dad, Mr. Whitmore to everyone but her, wasn't just offering moral support. He had connections. Quiet ones. People who owed him favors from decades back. People with access to things the average person couldn't touch. He called in one of them, a retired investigator who used to work corporate fraud for the SEC. His name was Hal. 60-something, still wore suspenders, spoke slow, but his eyes never stopped moving. He met us in my back room one night like we were planning a bank heist. "I need every document," he said. "No screenshots, no hearsay. Originals. Copies of originals. Everything." Tommy handed over a USB and a thick file folder he'd been keeping at his place. Hal didn't say much after that. Just nodded and got to work. Meanwhile, things at Whitmore Hospitality started crumbling faster than we expected. Jordan, the smooth-talking weasel, was making bold moves. Closing down historic locations in Charleston to cut costs. Laying off longtime staff without notice. Selling off property left and right. It wasn't about running a business, it was a smash and grab. And the board? Mostly clueless or complicit. But here's where it took a turn we didn't see coming. Sierra's ex-assistant, Olivia, reached out to me. Not to her. To me. She showed up at the store, nervous, looking over her shoulder like she was being followed. "I know you're digging into Jordan," she said. "I have something. But I need protection." I didn't know what she meant at first, but then she pulled out a phone and played a voice recording. Jordan's voice. Clear as day. "Don't worry about the paperwork, Liv. Just sign it. No one's gonna look into it. By the time they do, the shell's been flipped twice and parked in Belize." Standard. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just shady deals. He was laundering money. Probably using Sierra's name on some of the shell corporations before she even knew what was happening. Olivia told us he had forced her to sign several routine filings she didn't understand. When she asked questions, he threatened her job. Then her reputation. She was scared, but she kept copies. Hal took one listen and said, "We got him." But that's when everything turned. A black SUV started showing up near the store. Not parked close, but always somewhere within sight. Always running. Same one, every day for a week. I started taking different routes home. Sierra stayed at my place instead of hers. She was convinced Jordan had people watching us. One night, I caught someone trying to tamper with the power box outside the store. No mask, just a hoodie and gloves. When I shouted, he ran. That same night, Mr. Whitmore got a call. Anonymous, distorted voice. Told him to stop sniffing where he didn't belong. Said people could get hurt. He didn't flinch. "Let them come," he said. "I've lost everything already." But I was scared. Not just for me, but for my business, my staff, and Sierra. For the first time since this whole thing started, I seriously thought about pulling out. Sierra didn't let me. "You stood by me," she said. "Let me stand by you now." We pushed forward. Hal filed the whistleblower report directly to the SEC. The documents, the voice recordings, financial records, fake names, shell companies, it was all there. A full package. We thought it would take months before we heard back. It took 3 days. Apparently, Jordan had been on their radar already. But now they had something they hadn't had before, proof. And an inside voice. That should have been the final blow. But Jordan was slick. 2 days after we filed, he held a press conference. Said the company was undergoing an innovative transformation and that outside parties were trying to sabotage its progress. He named Sierra. Called her unstable. Said she'd been removed for mental health reasons. Even said she was stealing company documents and conspiring with hostile entities. The story ran across business blogs within hours. My store's Facebook page got bombed with fake reviews. 1 star. Owner supports criminal activity. Dangerous to the community. Even threats. I shut down the page. Locked the doors for the first time in years. I called Sierra. She was quiet. I could hear her breathing hard on the other end. Finally, she said, "He's trying to bury me." The next morning, someone threw a rock through the front window of the store. It had a note attached with duct tape. "Sell. Before it's too late." I didn't cry. I just swept up the glass and called a guy to board it up. That night, I moved everything important, documents, receipts, backups, into a storage unit across town. Hal said to keep nothing in plain sight. Tommy installed new locks, cameras, and even a cheap motion alarm system. But it didn't stop there. Someone filed a noise complaint against the store. Then a health inspection. Then a zoning dispute. All within 48 hours. I knew Jordan was pulling strings. He was trying to drown me in red tape. Then, one night, just before closing, I got another visitor. This time it wasn't Sierra. Or Hal. Or Tommy. It was Jordan. In person. He walked in like he owned the place. Same fake smile. Same shiny shoes. Just wanted to see it one last time, he said, looking around like he was inspecting a house he was about to buy. You won't get away with this, I said. He chuckled. I already have. Then he leaned in, real close. You think a few PDFs and phone calls scare me? I've played this game longer than you've been brewing coffee, sweetheart. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I don't play games, I said. And I don't lose. He gave me this smug little smirk, then walked out without another word. I locked the door behind him and stood there in the dark for a long time. Because I realized something in that moment. This wasn't just about a company anymore. This was war. And someone was going to burn. He came back. 3 days after he walked into my store like he owned it, Jordan showed up again, but this time it wasn't just to gloat. He showed up at a press event. It was held at one of the newly renovated Whitmore hotels downtown. A real showy affair. Chandeliers, finger food, fake smiles. It was supposed to be a celebration of growth and innovation, his words. Everyone who was anyone in the regional real estate scene was there. Local press, investors, board members. Even a few out-of-touch influencers with ring lights in their handbags. Sierra and I weren't invited. We showed up anyway. We didn't sneak in. We didn't wear disguises. We walked right through the front doors in broad daylight, heads up. Hal had tipped us off that this event was Jordan's clean image, pushed before the investigation hit the surface. He knew the walls were closing in and wanted to get ahead of it. What he didn't know was that Olivia had agreed to go public. She'd made the decision the night Jordan's people tried to get her fired from her current job using fake ethics violations tied to her work with Sierra. That was the last straw. She came to Hal, signed the papers, agreed to speak. The confrontation happened during Jordan's speech. He was mid-sentence, talking about sustainability and vision, when Sierra walked up onto the stage and grabbed the mic from his hand. People gasped. Jordan froze. The cameras didn't. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just stood there, voice steady. This man stole my father's company. Lied to the board. Lied to me. Used my name to create fake shell companies. And is now under federal investigation for fraud and embezzlement. Silence. You could hear the soft pop of a champagne cork in the back of the room. I have the documents, she continued. I have the recordings. And I'm not going to be quiet just because he's powerful and smug and thinks he can crush people who love what they do. People started murmuring. Phones went up. Journalists rushed forward. Jordan reached for the mic, but Hal stepped in. Touch her, and I'll have you cuffed before your champagne hits the floor. And then Olivia stepped onto the stage, too. She looked right at Jordan and said, voice shaking, I covered for you. I signed papers I didn't understand. I lied for you. But I won't lie anymore. Someone from the crowd shouted, is this true? Then another, is this about the SEC investigation? Jordan laughed, sharp and sudden. This is a stunt. These are bitter women who can't handle business. You'll all see it's nothing. But it was already too late. The moment was caught on video, live-streamed, clipped, and posted within minutes. That night, the story hit the major outlets. Headlines read, real estate developer exposed in live confrontation, fraud allegations go public. Whistleblowers come forward against CEO Jordan Ryland. Sierra collapsed into a chair after it was over. Just sat there, head in her hands. Olivia cried. I didn't. I just stood there and watched Jordan storm out, face red, tie loosened, muttering something into his phone. I don't know who he called, but I do know no one answered. The next few days were a mess. The SEC officially confirmed the investigation. Jordan's accounts were frozen. Board members resigned. Some claimed ignorance, others turned on him like wolves. A few tried to backpedal, pretending they'd always had doubts. Classic. He disappeared. Just like that. Gone from the spotlight. His office emptied out overnight. Mr. Whitmore released a quiet statement. No bitterness, just a short message about rebuilding trust and remembering values. He didn't say Jordan's name. He didn't have to. But behind closed doors, he hugged Sierra for the first time in years. I didn't see it, but she told me later. Her voice broke when she did. And my store? It reopened fully a week later. New window, fresh paint. Locals came by in waves. Some brought pie dishes they wanted refilled. Some brought stories. Some just hugged me. People had opinions, of course. Miss Rachel from down the street said, I never trusted that shiny shoe man. Greg, our mailman, shook his head and said, Karma's got a hell of a slap. But not everyone was kind. A few whispered that Sierra only came back because she needed saving. Some said she got what she deserved, that she should have known better. I didn't argue with them. I just went back to work. The store felt heavier for a while, like it had absorbed some of the tension. But slowly, it lightened again. Sierra asked if we could be friends again. I told her I didn't know. We talk sometimes. She sends me local honey from Savannah, where she's helping start a non-profit for small businesses. Says she's trying to do some good with what's left of her name. She never asks for anything. One time she wrote in a note, "I'm sorry for laughing when I called your store a dump. It's the only place that felt like home." I didn't write back, but I didn't throw it away either. As for me, I still run the cafe. I still fix the creaky floor myself. I still stock my dad's favorite peach preserves, even though they barely sell. And every so often, when the store is quiet and the light hits just right, I think about all of it. The betrayal, the break, the moment it all cracked open. And I remind myself I didn't change. I just stopped pretending other people wouldn't. That, and I sleep easier knowing some legacies are stronger than money, even when the glass shatters. Especially then.